episode airing on Fernando's show this past Tuesday, the roundtable. I hope
Mm-hmm.
you guys enjoyed that. We heard so many great reviews about that episode where we were talking, the state of the government, politics, and the different personalities that were in the White House since 2016. And then last week we had a really nice show. Chantal, do you want to give a little recap of what we had going on last week? I'm not gonna lie, I just don't remember.
Um, yeah, Julie, thanks. So last weekend.
Now you put this in the outline for the show today.
No, so the outline was recap our weekend, like how your week was. Anything you wanted to share with how everything's been going.
So what you guys last week's show? Oh, I do remember.
What did we?
Last week's show was about the algorithms on Facebook.
It was a
and
little bit more
Instagram.
serious, yeah.
And yeah, we were talking about the algorithms and the role that they play in advancing certain types of media.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about that a little bit more because we really want to make sure that people are understanding the role that they play and perpetuating fake news and things like that. So, in one of our segments, we'll be talking today about Facebook. So now that we got our lives together, today's show is going to be a little bit different. We got a little bit of a different structure. We want to make sure that, we are inspiring you guys. We want to make sure that we don't forget to do a little bit of the personal talk, the way you guys seem to be liking. We hear your feedback. We change episodes. We grow based on what you guys like. And we also are not going to forget Chantel's favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
The listener shout out.
Which, you know what? Because looking at an outline, if I can, feels like another coup, but I'm part of this show. So we received some listener feedback or a comment, not feedback, a comment that maybe we can discuss a little bit. I almost forgot about this. They listened to the roundtable.
Okay.
And then they wrote into us. And this is what they said. And I was like, you know what? This is really good. And I feel like we can maybe have just like a small conversation. How you feel, what I think, etc. All right. So here we go.
First off, listener, you're my shout out.
Yes. So while listening to today's roundtable show, it made me question the way we in America view the ideal candidate. And they put that in quotes. There was a segment discussing how they should appear while representing our country and the fact that experience in politics is needed. While I agree to a certain extent, we want a person with morals and a form of professionalism when abroad and on U.S. soil, speaking for us on policies and representing us. It also makes me question everything we were taught as children in school. We, the people of the United States, are supposed to be able to run for president. So while it should be easy to see why this non-politically experienced current president gives a bad name for non-experienced candidates, I don't feel it should now throw out hope for a regular Jane or John to run and possibly win in the future. We've been leaving it to the experienced, quote, and experienced time and spent in politics candidates. And though those past presidencies have not looked as questionable as this current administration, they haven't proven to be the answer for we the people either. It's sad how much money one needs to even be considered past this first few debate stages to run president. So while I agree it feels safe and familiar to take an employee who's had a manager position for a number of different establishments, I don't believe it means we should throw away the resume for the interviewee whom this would be their first manager position. I think people have shown time and time again with the right guidance and ideals behind them, they can succeed and improve the position they are placed in or in America's instance, voted into. I just don't think it's safe to say that this one bad orange spoiled the bunch of apples. I thought that last line was hysterical. That's like, yeah. It's one bad orange.
That's good. That's really
What do you think about that? I've read it already. I know what I think. Putting Julie on the spot.
Understanding the intricacies of our political sector, I would maintain that there's some degree of experience needed. So I don't fully disagree. I don't think that you have to be a lifetime politician. I don't think that, this cycle that we've been perpetuating over and over again is the end all be all. I do understand, and it may just be because I have a lot of experience in the political sector. I do understand there are certain things that you just won't get until you have had that experience. And I'm not saying you have to have this huge amount of experience, but just like the manager who is their first time managing, they have experience within the field that allows them to then become a manager. So I don't think this has to be their first leadership role, their first, I think there's a lot of different type of people that could become this president. I do believe that there's this certain type of knowledge in terms of foreign policy, in terms of how the electorate works, in terms of issues that have happened in the past, history, and understanding how not to make those same mistakes. Understanding things like, the field programs and things like that. I do think those, if missed, would have a huge detriment to the role that this person would play. So I
Yeah.
do think there's some experience necessary.
Yeah, so I understand what the writer is saying, and then on the other side of it is just like everything you just said. Like, we do need some experience. And I also feel like since Trump came in without any political experience, he kind of messed it up for anybody who might have been a very good candidate, a very good person to lead and run. I don't think we're at the place where we're like, all right, we tried it, but not we, people who vote for him, been there, done that, tried it. We're not doing that again. Like, we need somebody who has some type of experience. They have to know something. They have to have held some type of office at some level.
Something. And you know what that also demonstrates? It demonstrates how they will act in this role. And because this is such a hugely influential role, I do want to know what your record is. I do. I do want to understand how you would vote on certain issues. I do want to know how you treat people within your constituency. And yeah, it's old school, but you know what? I think I'd rather the devil that I know than, I hate that phrase.
Yeah.
But like the evil that you know than the one that you don't know, because this one really threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a happy medium.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it has to be like you have been in politics from, like city council to governor to, I don't think that. But I do, even if you have experience in studying or if you have worked in, I don't know, communications, and you guys worked with a lot of like field programs and things like that. I just think you have to have an understanding of how the system works in order to either change it or make it better or whatever it is that you're going to do.
Because we already have an example of what it looks like when you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I didn't realize how intricate, how complicated the political system was. It just kind of seems like you have to understand these certain laws before you vote on them. You have to understand, like these people before the. No, there is so much more. You have to understand that, this, bill has to go here first, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then I can say something about it. If you don't understand that process, then you're not being fair to all the different people below you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good question, though. It was a really good comment. I think we need to find a happy medium.
Yeah, definitely. And there's my listener shout-outs. Took up my segment. Like, no. So I don't know. How did you have a listener shout out already prepared?
Okay, so my listener shout out this week is Britt Carpenter.
Because I didn't want to hijack it. Okay,
Britt James Carpenter. He has a show.
Britt James.
When is his show? I think it's Tuesdays, and you know what? I'm gonna look it up before I lie to you guys. I'll let you know in the next segment. Britt James is remarkable. Such a great individual. I'm so glad that we were able to do a show with him. He's gonna be on our show next week. That's October 26th, along with Fernando from the Round Table. So stay tuned for that because they are personalities.
Yeah.
And I think we vibe. Yeah.
Yes.
We definitely vibe. So Britt is premiering his documentary today, a documentary in which he was featured in at 1 p.m. And we're going to be, posting that on our social media and things like that. But I just wanted to give him a shout out because he really is doing big things in the city.
Yes.
He is approachable. He has, that little bit of understanding of our generation and then the baby boomers. And just, I just think it's a great show. You guys need to check him out. Britt James Carpenter.
Yes, and he also understood, like, any shade being thrown, and he took it very, took it well.
Yeah.
Because you have said before, if people are going to hang out with us, like, they have to understand we play around a little bit.
Right. Yeah, we threw shade to each other. He was like, oh, well, I'm going to get you. Posted a bad picture of me. It was great, you guys. Like, I love that. We had such a, and you know what? We had meaningful discussion at the same time. And that's what, Viera Vida is all about. We have meaningful discussion, but it's pretty funny.
It is.
It has to be approachable. And I think I said this before on our show. This is how I learned about God, and pretty much religion and things like that. Well, I want to say spirituality. Is that I went to this camp, Camp Religua, and shout out to Mike Campbell. He taught us that, you know, in order for children to learn about anything, especially when it comes to the Lord, you have to make it fun. And so teaching us about the Bible through fun, like we would play dodgeball and then we would learn about a scripture and then we would, you know, like tell jokes on each other and then we would learn about, you know, a parable or whatever it is. But we try to, you know, live out that sentiment too here.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I learned last night? I was hijacking this whole segment.
What did you learn? You were on. What, did you learn it on Netflix?
No, this was something personal. Like, okay, so even though I took up my whole shout out, I want to shout out my aunt, my mom's sister, and I'm so sorry, I'm so congested today, having children and then not sleeping. A whole bunch of germs everywhere. Exactly, that's what I need. Why'd you do that to me? Because I'm gonna laugh for like the next 3 minutes. So getting older, right? I was at my aunt's last night. She made us chili. It was delicious. And she asked if I wanted a glass of wine, and I had one. And my mom went and bought this delicious. So Acme has this tin of cookies that sometimes they're really good and sometimes they're like hard. So it depends on when you get them. And last night's they were really good. Nice and soft and chewy. So it's a mix of sugar and chocolate chip, right? So I've learned, this is something I'm noticing about myself. I cannot have a glass of wine and sugary foods or snacks.
Is this true?
It'll give me an instant headache.
Oh,
and the sweeter wine.
Did you have a sweet wine?
I had a sweeter wine.
What was it?
I think it was a rosé. Oh. I think it was.
So you didn't bring any chili, any cookies, any wine. It's fine.
You're right. I should have brought the cookies. My mom would have been happy. She should have get this out of my house.
No problem.
But yeah, I have to drink. Like if I'm gonna have wine and like enjoy the snack table at a party, I have to have a bottle of water next to me.
I wonder if other people relate to that. Listeners,
I wonder too.
You know what? That's responsible. That having a bottle of water next to you.
Yeah.
I don't tend to do that. But I drink drier wines, so I don't know. I prefer like sweet wine.
I prefer drier, like in my own home, or if I'm like bringing a bottle or something. But I also won't turn down
right.
a glass that you're like, oh, sweet, yeah, sure. Especially since like I can't just enjoy a drink when I want to because I'm nursing. So
right.
Yeah.
No, I do wonder what listeners, what do you guys have going on? You know, what's your favorite type of wine? First off, because let's say we take this conversation off of the air and in person and we're having events, we need to know what to serve you guys.
Exactly.
We do.
Exactly. And so I'm curious if there's anybody else who has this issue. Like, or they're noticing as they're getting maybe older, because I didn't have this problem some years ago, but now it's like, oh, you tried it.
I kind of want to have sweet wine and sweet cookies to test this out. Is that what this is
turning into? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys, as you can tell, today's episode is about trending topics and all the things going on in the world and that affect us specifically as millennials. You guys, these conversations will impact you no matter what walk of life that you're in, but we're so glad that you're here with us today. We're so glad that you're willing to laugh, cry, and get personal, get real on the Vida show. Today's episode, we're going to continue talking a little bit about Facebook and all of the issues surrounding this whole political scandal. We're going to be talking about fashion, and we're going to be talking about some current events. So stick with us because today is action-packed and fun-filled.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again.
Hey besties, welcome back to the Vida show. This is Julie, and we have Chantel on the ones and twos over there, literally dancing. So if you can see us on the live, we're living the dream today. Today's episode, we're doing a little bit of this isn't necessarily our Sancocho episode, but we're doing a lot of the trends and the news and things that are going on, right? Mm-hmm. And so something that we talk about a lot because it really does impact us is social media.
Yep.
So what's trending on social media? Well, you guys, it's not new, but TikTok is really like a big deal right now.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
I'm not.
I got on TikTok today before yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a problem. I've posted 8 videos since.
And when did you join?
The day before yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a problem. I've been really enjoying it. My cat, I find that everything that she does is funny now.
Oh my gosh.
Everything. Like I just want to record
So
her all
TikTok
day.
gave like purpose and life and meaning to.
Yeah, you know, it really taught us to bond. So one thing I wanted to talk to the listeners about was Nehemiah, right?
Okay.
So Nehemiah is Chantel's son, and he is the most talented beatboxer I know in my life, and I'm not even kidding. Like, not even joking. How old is Nehemiah?
4.
4.
He's been beatboxing for a few years now.
Yeah,
He's experienced.
Yeah, he's been beatboxing longer than we've had the show, so he's 4. Also, shout out to Catalina. Today is her 5th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah, today's
Happy
her 5th birthday.
birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
Whoop, whoop.
You
Yeah,
got the-
she's 5. Oh,
That's
they're
so
so cute.
nice.
I really want those 2 to get married someday, but we'll talk about that later.
This is not the first time I've heard this, by the way.
Well, yeah, I have to plant the seed early. Okay, so something I wanted to talk about are a few of these, viral videos that are going around. One of which you've probably heard us already allude to, and it's Rise and Shine. First off, Kylie Jenner. Call me. Because she's going to have a record deal. Like, remember that guy who sang, To Bang? Oh, wait.
Oh,
She
yeah,
Bangs, She Bangs?
yeah, from American Idol.
Yeah.
Oh, what was his name? I'm going to look it
I
up.
cannot remember.
While you talk about that, I'm going to look it
It
up.
was funny because Kylie Jenner posted a photo on her Instagram of her and the Teletubby son because they've been drawing her inside there for the Rise and Shine video.
She posted it?
Yeah, she posted that, and it said no caption needed, and everyone's like Rise and Shine. So if you don't know what's going on there, you guys get in the loop. Secondly, getting back to what I really wanted to talk about, which Nehemiah. So I feel like I need to help him as he develops his beatboxing career, right? So I'm thinking about this the other day. And I'm typing hashtag beatboxing because there's this girl and it was like first day of beatboxing and it was like boom chick, and then like 5 years beatboxing and she was like all this stuff. It was like levels. She was singing on top of it and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, so I have to figure out how to harness Nehemiah's beatboxing career. This is really a thought in my head, laying down in my bed like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm checking out.
Did you like notate any of this or like write it down?
No.
I didn't get that deep.
At this time, I'm just processing, right?
Okay.
I did write some of this down, which you know about right now. But so the next morning, I get back on the thing, hashtag beatboxing, right? And I see this video that really stood out to me, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna use to participate with Nehemiah. And it said, if you, I'm sorry, it gets me every time. If you say, to be born to be chicken, too clever to be chicken, in a whisper, over and over, and the quicker you say it, it sounds like you're beatboxing.
Don't worry, listeners. Julie is going to demonstrate if you were wondering or not.
Okay, all right.
Here
So
we
I've
go.
been practicing, and
Uh-huh.
this shout out to Nehemiah. This is for you, boo. Cause you know I have to add levels to his beatboxing. So what I'm gonna do is demonstrate, and then we're gonna have you, Chantel,
Mm-hmm.
join on top. But you know, you gotta tell them what you're gonna be saying.
Boots and pants.
Boots and pants. So Chantel, when she says boots and pants fast and in a little bit of a whisper, she's gonna add a little bit of dimension to my beatbox. Imagine us in 10 years. All right, ready?
Goals.
All right, ready? 3,
I'll play
2,
along.
1. To be born, to be chicken, to clever, to be chicken, to be born, to be chicken, to clever, to be chicken, to be born, to be chicken, to clever, to be I can't take that. I can't. All right, you start.
Listen, if you do not back your friends when they want to do stuff that's fun like this, you're not a good friend, okay?
All right, wait. When you came in with the boots and pants, I just couldn't keep it together. So
Okay.
I need you to do boots and pants first.
Oh my gosh. All right, wait, let me see. Okay. I'm like, how much time we got? All right. Hold on. Me. I can't believe she has me doing this. Dylan, what happened?
We got Dylan on the soundboard. Our engineer is
All right.
laughing.
Okay, here we go. Do you have one you want to join? All right. I'm gonna stop delaying. All right, here we go. Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants.
Stop looking at me. All right, you guys, we're gonna get this.
So
we're gonna
next
get
on the show,
we're gonna get this because we're committed. Okay. Boots and pants. Oh no, you're boots and pants.
All right, I'm not gonna look at you because
All right. I'm not looking
I
at
see
you
your
either.
head and I'm thinking about Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots. To be born to be chicken, to be chicken, to be born to be chicken, to be chicken, to be born.
I think we're pretty good. I think we're really good, you guys.
Yeah.
Dylan gave us a thumbs up.
Oh,
So
thanks,
you guys,
Dylan.
when your engineer gives you a thumbs up, like it's legit. It's real out here. So try that at home. They're going to be like, what did you learn on the Vida show today? Well, how to beatbox.
Using words.
So I've been practicing that.
gosh.
You know, if you want to check out my video
That's so
on TikTok,
funny.
it's Jules_Viera.
Do you know what I miss from social media? Now that you're talking about TikTok, I was a huge Vine.
Were you really?
Oh my gosh! When I tell you, I could, if I were going to lay down and go to bed, I would just be sitting there on Vine all night, crying, laughing. Like Instagram is funny, and I appreciate Instagram. The longer videos, like there's videos I watch that I laugh,
Right.
but I would be crying. My stomach would be
Yeah.
hurting the entire night.
Well, that's how I'm feeling about TikTok. So I
Yeah.
can believe. You know what? I saw a video. It was like, you know, the girl was watching Vine. She's in her bed or TikTok or whatever, and then all of a sudden, the sun comes out and it goes rise and shine, and I just died.
God, it's so fast. Yeah,
And then she was like, "Hi," and I was like, "Hi." And, wait, what?
that's how fast. Like the internet is so fast.
Yeah.
The internet is undefeated. I love the internet. That's the good thing about the internet that I love.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we talked about all the great things on the internet, let's talk about some not so good things on the internet. And first off, I'm gonna have a talk with you, Dylan, after this show, because this cover photo on this live is really not flattering. I'm just kidding. So, bad things about the internet. Okay, let's talk about
Cover photos.
Let's talk about how I look in this cover photo. That's one bad thing. Second bad thing. You guys, let's get back to this conversation about Facebook. Chantel, you mentioned that recently the number one trend on Twitter, say that 5 times fast,
Right.
was
Hashtag delete Facebook.
and why?
So it was trending because Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been hosting secretive talks and off-the-record dinners with conservative influencers in recent months to discuss free speech and partnerships.
How do you feel about that?
So in one sense, I am on a struggle bus with how I feel about Facebook, period, even before this came out.
Okay.
I know I wasn't on Facebook for a long time after
Right.
I had an account. And then you know why I got back on. And
Wait, why did you get back on?
I got back on because I had to have at least a profile for
for the job.
for the job. But then I didn't do anything on the page. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do stuff on the page. And now I'm like, maybe I don't want this anymore. I don't know. So
I've been enjoying your posts.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But I just don't know how I feel about Facebook still. So even before this, I was like, eh. Now, reading this, because after seeing the great hack and the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, and
Netflix moment of the show with Chantel.
can you send us that clip so we can actually turn that into a song, like that piece? I don't know. I feel like the secretive talks and stuff could definitely be for his agenda, for keeping politics going a certain way that maybe he feels he wants it to go.
Okay. Yes.
But I don't really
But-
care for Facebook.
I'm just going
As
to
it is.
play, what did we say we were going to call it? The Silver Lining Kid instead of Devil's Advocate?
Maybe.
Oh,
I don't remember. We got to write that down. next
I
time.
think because we don't like the word devil's advocate, but we end up using it all the time anyway, or that idiomatic expression. So if you're having a meeting with anybody or dinner with anybody and no one else is there, is that a secretive meeting? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they're just going to call it secretive.
I do feel you, except for the and you gave me, and I know you're going to tell the people how you feel, which I feel that what your point is and your opinion is on this. But if we talk business during these dinner
Fair.
things, where did lunch come from?
Yeah.
Then it's like maybe
Blurring a
secretive.
line?
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so here's where I feel. So there has been a lot of backlash, and recently and I'm pretty sure it was a Fox interview, Fox interviewing Mark Zuckerberg, whoever it was a conservative outlet. They have found and criticized Mark Zuckerberg. They said that, he and Facebook are more left-leaning and that there's a bias against conservatives and conservative media. First of all, his response to that, and this is just from an article, so, I quote him, was that basically you have to think about these tech companies. These tech companies, most of them are in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is in California. California is super left-leaning. So, yeah, if they're funding or sponsoring anybody, it's going to be the ones that they believe in. Of course, if you're in Cali, you're going to be hiring people from Cali, and, that cycle continues. But in terms of what people are seeing on Facebook, they state that conservative media actually does really well on Facebook. It gets shared a lot, which, to be fair, 2016 kind of does highlight that, which I think speaks to the reason I'm not so nervous about these conversations is you guys are criticizing Mark Zuckerberg for not being open to conservatives or conservative media, but then you criticize him for meeting with conservatives and conservative media. So, what do you want? I don't understand.
Should he maybe stay out of it?
That's a good question.
Like allow, if there's Facebook ads or whatever, if there's obviously organizations that we were with, they're going to run their ads. Organizations, the conservatives, they're going to run their ads.
Right.
So should he just be remain neutral? We've given you this platform to be able to use it. There are some rules we've laid down, obviously, after the whole Russia thing. But that's for you guys. I'm not getting involved. I'm not meeting with the peoples.
You know that phrase, you're darned if you do, darned if you don't? It's going to be the same thing. People are going to be like, you have this big platform. You need to be doing something with it. Why are you staying quiet? This is your duty, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's going to be criticized either way. That's what I think. Now, I sound like I'm a huge advocate for Mark Zuckerberg right now. I'm not. But I do see where he's in a funny place where there's really nothing that he can do that people are going to be happy with, especially after 2016, which makes sense to me.
Yeah. The one thing I say I do agree with him. Oh, sorry. Just all the time. My bad. I'll talk about this on
Are
the
you
other
leaving
side.
us with a cliffhanger?
I am. Dun, dun, dun.
All right, you guys. So we only have a few seconds left before we are heading to break. So Chantel is going to tell you what she thinks just after this break. Stick with us because we have so much to share with you.
That it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true.
So I just want to take a second to remind you all that Vida is a really perfect place for millennials to have conversations, but we are not only limited to that audience, you guys. So if you have a message that you want to share with millennials in Philadelphia, then make sure you reach out to us at contact@viedavida.com, because there are opportunities to sponsor this show. Your sponsorship can be as low or as high as you want it to be. We can share things about your business. We can share what you have going on in the community. So reach out to us. We really want this to be a community-based show. That being said, let's get back to our conversation. Chantel, you
Yes.
left us with a cliffhanger
I
just
did.
before. So what were we talking about, and what's your opinion on that?
So we also did get a my brain went to listener shout out. That's not the words. We also did get a comment on the YouTube's live.
Ooh, you guys are checking out our YouTube
Yes,
live.
Dev Smith, thank you for your participation. I feel companies like Facebook, with a history of shadiness in quotations, lost their opportunity for hashtag, oh my gosh, quotations, secretive meetings. Companies like Facebook have to remain transparent in order for us to trust them again. And you know what? It's so hard. I think if our information wasn't being sold and all that jazz,
Right.
then I could definitely understand him reaching out to like conservative parties, because everybody's trying to say he's for the left. Facebook is more left like agenda, but that's kind of my sentiments too. Like the fact that they're like, doing not the under the table, underlying, like just selling stuff in our business and stuff. And I can't really think right now, so I'm just saying and stuff. If y'all don't know,
But I
can't
get what
realize
you're
and
saying.
stuff.
There has to be some type of transparency because of the record that they have
Right.
for pretty much stealing our data.
Right. So now when you do things like this,
Do.
Thanks. I'm just getting my words back together. Confidence shot down. It's like, no. When you then proceed to handle things like this, I almost said do again. It does. It makes it look like side eye. I'm eyeing you all the time, and that probably. And you know what? It's probably a very tough spot for him to be in if that was not his intention. So I understand that side of it.
It's hard because we've seen a lot of lack of transparency being shady, but
Right.
we also see that, for example, the business model can be exposed in a way that could be a detriment to Facebook or our country if it were too transparent. So what's that line in which the national security is protected in both ways?
Right.
That's hard. I wonder if maybe there could be different people that sit in on these meetings, or transcriptions that certain people are privy to. I'm not sure. I do think that there has to be transparency in every sector, and it's really funny that media and social media are criticized the most, but what's going on in these oil companies, and are their meetings with conservatives, or their meetings with foreign officials being recorded? What's going on with Big Pharma, are their meetings being recorded? No. And there's there's this attack on media in general that I find to be relevant, and it matters, yes, but it's not balanced in the same way that it should be in other sectors that really do impact our economy and our daily lives, like Big Pharma again.
Right. No, and there's a lot of stuff going on behind their scenes that is just like, we would probably shut them down seriously, like shut them down. We are marching on them. We don't want them open anymore. Right. But I think the fact that that our information, again, like our user profiles are on there, it's probably why people are definitely up in arms. And it's like, why does it have to be secretive? Even if he didn't mean it. And do you know if he addressed the whole secretive part of it, or if he even?
No, you know what?
Not even sure, right?
I'm not sure if he.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole.
Because sometimes you go to do things, and
you're
somebody
like, I didn't know this was a secret,
right? And they're like, or. A secret. That was funny for me because we are really bad about keeping secrets from each other. Like if our husbands are like, "Oh, we're gonna go do this. We're gonna surprise her." Like the cat's out the bag before we go to do it. That's why it's so funny to me. Sorry,
that's fair.
I just had a moment.
No, that's fair.
But sometimes when you go to do something, and people look at it like you were ill-intentioned or you did something bad, and you're like, no, I know the way it looks.
I know.
But that's really not what I was trying to do. When you try to explain yourself, and no matter what you say, people are like, no.
And then when you try to explain yourself, you look really bad.
Worse, yeah.
Okay, so talking about like private accounts and secrecy and maybe the need for more secrecy, there is the question of Trump's Twitter page.
That was my cliffhanger.
Yeah. So earlier this month, Kamala Harris claimed that Trump was using Twitter inappropriately to criticize an intelligence community whistleblower who filed a complaint regarding the president's July 25th phone call with a Ukrainian leader. So after that, Chantel, you mentioned in the debates on Tuesday, Harris also criticized Warren for not backing her on the need to have Trump take down and delete his Twitter page. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I definitely agree with Zuckerberg about. Like, we're not shutting his page down. On the roundtable, I had mentioned that at first we were kind of like, take away his phone. Like, why is he tweeting? But now it's like, no, we need him to tweet. We need to see what he's doing. We need to see what he's thinking. And it is sickening to read. And it is like, really? This is what you're thinking? But at the same time, I'm glad that we know. Yes.
It's true. So, okay, here's my fear. In terms of this transparency, him...
Giving room.
Yes. So him saying, what he feels sort of, like you said, gives room for these people who share these homophobic or maybe racist or maybe, hyper conservative sentiments to act out on what they believe is right. And to me, it changes the discourse. It makes it more acceptable.
I can understand that.
That's so...
I can understand that. Feeling like you're giving people a space. And I feel like he's given them a space a long time, like in the beginning of his presidency. And I've also heard it said, and I completely agree with it.
That people come into our lives. When people say, I heard it said.
So I have, every time she says something to me, I try to find another way to reword this. Okay, I'm going to say it again. People have said, have any other songs? That, with Trump being in the White House, it has given people, white supremacists and people who have bigots and everything else, it's giving them not a space, but it's telling them be who you are. And people are glad that it's telling them be who you are, because they're saying, I'd rather know who you are than you sit up there and lie to me in my face, acting like we're all cool and you're really racist, or you really don't like me just because of who I am, or like what I look like. Is it
saying be who you are, or is it saying hate who you want? Because
thank you. That's a better way to phrase it.
I'm scared of that.
No, I feel you. But perfect example. There was a teacher who had a minor fender bender with one of the students' dads in the parking lot, and she went off and was saying all this racist stuff to him. It was a black man and she was white, and to me, I said out loud as I'm watching this, I'm so glad they had that minor fender bender, because the school needs to know and these parents need to know what this woman is thinking as she's teaching these students. Like, if you have those viewpoints and you feel a certain way towards a certain race, like, you don't need to be teaching those kids because that's how you feel about them. What grades are you now giving them that they don't deserve? They deserve better and all that
So this brings
stuff.
to light a larger issue, and the larger issue is that there is no system for reacting to those things. There's no system for, reacting to the sentiments that Twitter, that you see on Twitter. They're some schools don't do anything about that type of language. So it brings to light the need for us to know exactly what to do when that happens. Us being those who don't share that same ideology. And a lot of times we don't know what to do. We can talk bad about them. We can retweet whatever Trump says and put a thumbs down. But unless you're in a place of power, like, a hiring manager, things like that, what can we do?
As far as, like...
This is going to sound bad. As far as giving a consequence for those types of actions.
Like with even the woman? Or...
Yeah.
Losing your job. And she should not be teaching.
I believe
anywhere.
I believe
anymore.
That. It's sad because Trump still has his job, though.
Yeah.
So when it comes to politics and, our president, I'm just going to say it. Sometimes I feel helpless. Sometimes I feel like, what can we really do? And that's why I can understand why Kamala Harris is calling for his Twitter to be deleted, because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So get this type of language off of there. I don't know.
True.
I go back and forth.
True. Has his tweeting hurt him potentially, though, with this whole impeachment process proceedings? Maybe, maybe not. What do you think?
That's a good question. Well, it goes back to, I think, the Electoral College at the end of the day, where he can lose by 5 million votes and still win the Electoral College. So I don't know if it did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah, I feel you.
I wish it had. Oh, he didn't even need Twitter for most of us to know that he was cray.
Very, very true. But I think this really showed oh my gosh, this man's horrible. And it's to a point now I don't read anything he says. If anything, if it's retweeted or shown on another page that I read, maybe, but I won't go look for it. If he's talking on TV, I don't have time to listen to it. I'm just and yes, I know we should be informed. I just catch up on what did he say? Let me read this article real quick. What was he talking about? All right, cool. I don't really, because listen to him. I've tuned him out a long time ago.
So that goes back to our conversation about the algorithms. And you guys, I like what you're doing, Chantel, and I agree with it. And that's not to feed into the algorithm in terms of supporting Trump. So not following him. But if you do want to know what he's doing, then you can go to your page, and there are certain accounts that you can put onto lists. So when you make lists, it could be a list of your competitors. It could be a list of people who you are inspired by, but maybe they're not within your niche, so you don't want to follow them. So this is going back to understanding the way the algorithm works. So you can create a list, you can put Trump on it, and this is where you can go to find out what he's doing, but you won't necessarily be following him. So I think that's one hack around the algorithm. Obviously, it's still going to see that connection, but you're not publicly going to be supporting him. And I really think that those lists on Twitter do make for a good way to do your research. So that's just something I wanted to put out there, because we're always talking about different ways to support the algorithm and combat the algorithm at the same time. Speaking of algorithms, we have been talking about the role that we play in supporting different parts of, fake news, right? And last week we were talking about how Facebook specifically is going into making sure that they are sharing real news. Well, I just wanted to share that I saw an article where, what was it, Washington Post, many of the large media channels, they are now allowing their articles to be posted on Facebook News. Obviously, this is a contract, and it poses issues for their online subscription base and all of that. But big, huge media outlets like the Washington Post are finally saying, yeah, you can put our news on there. So that's huge.
That is
it's
huge. Real news. And then does it give you the whole article on Facebook, or do you have to click the link?
See, I'm not sure
yet. I feel like if I gotta click the link, this is gonna be you have reached your limit. Or you have to pay.
So that's what they were arguing in this. I can't find the article right now,
Okay.
but that's what they were arguing, and they being the media outlets, that it was going to be an issue for them in terms of being able to allow people to access the articles without
Okay.
a subscription. And what I think they reached was a conclusion where each of these outlets would pay a certain amount of money to be featured on there, so that would combat the price, or level out the price of the subscription. So I'm pretty sure if you're going through Facebook, you would be able to read the entire article.
Okay, cool.
It's also, it has its issues because larger platforms are paying millions of dollars, smaller platforms are paying hundreds of thousands, so I just want to throw that out there. That's really big. So we're going to take a little bit of shift for this last part of the episode because it has been pretty serious, and we're going to talk a little bit about fall fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, huge shift. So Chantel, you
Yes.
wrote a few questions in terms of fashion especially, and I want to talk about them. So maybe what drives your fashion choices? I thought this was a big question.
Yeah.
It was a really big question.
Yeah. And my answer is very mom-minded right now.
Is it?
It is. When I think about what drives my fashion choices in the morning as of late, you catch me during the weekday, especially if I have class. I have class Monday through Thursday. I have a baseball cap on my head, specifically polo, because that's what my husband always said. We have tons of those in all different colors. Yes. I have a polo cap on my head with a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt or a hoodie, now that it's cooler, and some jeans and some sneakers or boots.
Okay.
And
That's cute.
and that's it.
So comfortable, chic.
Sometimes, yeah, but sometimes my hair be sticking up from underneath the
It's
cap.
cute though.
I be having to take water, no, go back under there. Yeah.
I like that. So I think for a lot of people, and we're transitioning into fall fashion, but this whole episode is very much focused on social media. I think the media and social media and these trends are impacting our style a little bit more
Definitely.
nowadays. And so did you see the article where Kanye West is criticizing Kim Kardashian for being too sexy in her fashion
I saw
choices?
the post.
So
I
how
did
do
see
you
the
feel
post.
about this?
So her argument to him was you put me in these clothes. I was like, okay, I feel you, homie.
Oh, that's the argument?
Yeah, she kind of
'cause-
said you wanted me to dress this way and now you're pulling back now. Yeah. So I kind of felt her on that. But then the other side of it was, if your husband feels you dress a little too scandalous for the world to see, maybe change up, or maybe tell him, because I could feel how she'd be like, what the heck, attacked maybe? Maybe let me think about what you're saying to me and I'll get back to you.
Okay, well, here's this too. It's Kim Kardashian.
That's how she's made her money.
Right. You
Yeah,
knew how
that's
she
her
dressed
name.
from the beginning.
Yes, I agree.
Like Kanye, first off, we know you probably really did put her in those clothes. But aside from that, you saw her dressing all these years before you guys got married and still chose to marry her, and that's
Yeah.
part of her brand.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, Kim Kardashian herself is a brand.
Yeah.
And so while, I don't agree with dressing as sexy all the time, especially with children and things like that, that's her, and that's her brand. And I don't feel like, and, I respect my husband and everything, but I don't feel like if I have been a certain way and I'm comfortable in a certain way for so long, you should be publicly criticizing me. Maybe that's a conversation to have.
I agree with that.
In the back room.
I agree with that. That should not have been on the show.
Right?
Yeah, because, I agree with that. That kind of but then in the next breath, it's but they do everything else on camera.
That's true. That's hard. It's hard.
It is hard because then it's as a wife, if your husband's saying that was cool, and it is hard because now I'm double tongued right now, and my mind is double minded as far as how I feel. I'm on one side of the fence, and then I'm on the other side of the fence, and I wonder. I don't know. I'm not the father above. I don't know what Kanye's doing or what's going on in his life right now. But I wonder if with his Sunday services and all this gospel music he's starting to do, maybe something inside of him or whatever is just, it's just that was cool back then when I was living this way that I was living.
Right.
And now that I'm focusing more on gospel music, which is then tied into the Father and the Bible, I don't know if I like you dressing like that. But again, maybe that conversation should have been had off of camera.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
And so, let's go back to where we started in this conversation, that is what drives your fashion choices.
Yes,
You
'cause
said
you need
that,
to answer that too.
Right, but you said
The mood I'm in.
your mood, and also you as a mother.
Yeah.
Right? So who you are as a mother. She is a public figure. Who she is a public figure. She's shared that.
Yeah.
She understands that. And so her persona as a public figure is what she dresses by. So I don't know if, it bothers me, because it's like, yeah, she knows this is what works. This is what sells. And it works for her. I don't know. Oh, okay, so what drives my fashion choices? A lot of times it is also my mood. It's the code shifting. So like wherever I'm going, I try to make sure that I'm dressed appropriately for that setting. And dressed appropriately would mean something different to Kim Kardashian as it would to me or whatever. But I feel like I have a pretty versatile style range. I would wear something goofy like a Mickey Mouse t-shirt and some high-waisted pants and a pair of stilettos, or I would wear like, sweats and make a match and then have a little hair tie. Like, I am pretty open when it comes to my style choices, and it's because I consider myself like a whimsical personality. So
how long does it take for you to get dressed, as far as like thinking about those choices? Like, how long does it take for you to put an outfit together? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh, you know what? Not long, because this is how I put an outfit together. What do I not have to iron?
I like that.
Seriously.
I like that. That's very true.
That is
and
literally
sometimes
it.
it feels like the best outfit's like, oh, but you're wrinkled.
Exactly.
I'm not wearing you today.
Exactly. And then so if my husband's the one who irons in the house. So if my husband's home, then I'll be like, hey, could you iron me this shirt, please? But if he's not, then it's like, okay, well, that shirt, stretchy, don't have to iron that. But okay, that's a good material, don't have to iron. That's cute together. Amen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know what? Not long. Some days it does take me long if I'm thinking too much and I'm like, I really want to make a statement, and then this person's going to be there, and then this is going to happen, and then, oh my God, I'm going to take pictures, but then the background is going to be purple, so I can't be wearing purple. So sometimes it takes longer.
Oh my gosh.
A thought that goes into this.
And the thought probably could have been longer, but you probably shortened it for the people listening.
Yeah, for the people, for the sake of time. So you guys, we have a little over a minute left for the show, so we want to leave you with a little bit of inspiration at the end of every show. Chantel, take it away.
All right. Sometimes in life, we allow ourselves to feel down about circumstances which we cannot control. Life always seems to throw a curveball at the moment we need it least. For example, an opportunity that had the potential to transform a career path or even change the trajectory of your life itself fell through. Or you were rejected from the very thing you knew you had in the bag. Instead of laying down and accepting defeat, let's look at it as a minor setback to our goals. In what ways can we continue to prepare and strengthen ourselves to be ready when the blessing that has our name on it shows up? These are the very things we should think on. How exactly we are going to keep ourselves moving forward, no matter the circumstances. And in the words of Nido Cobain, your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start.
Wow.
A good one.
That is really good. You guys, we're going to leave you with that for this episode. Thank you so much for being here today. Make sure you practice your to be born to be chicken to clever to be chicken. And check out Vida on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and follow us every week. Okay, bye.